Have you tried all different kinds of language apps, but none of them seem to work for you? So you're left to assume that something must be wrong with you, you can't learn languages, or it's your fault. In this video, I'm going to share 5 different ways that you may be using your language learning apps wrong and what to do instead. And these are things that I've helped my clients with, so I know that they are absolutely foolproof. If you're new here, hi, my name is Jamie, I'm a language coach, and my specialty is helping online language learners stay consistent and motivated long term. If that sounds like you, make sure you subscribe and hit the bell to be notified when I post a new video all about language learning every Wednesday. The first way that you may be using language learning apps wrong that I see all the time is depending 100% on your daily streak and nothing else. There are a lot of language learners who genuinely benefit from daily streaks in a really positive way, especially language learners who struggle to remember to come back to it day to day and need a little something to keep them motivated from day to day, and it works for them. For some language learners, the daily streaks of apps like Duolingo and Fluent Forever are like the favorite parts of their language learning apps because it helps keep them consistent long term. And that's perfectly fine. Until it's not. A good way to know that you're using your daily streak wrong is when you feel obligated to keep up your language learning just for that daily streak and you're afraid of losing that daily streak. You're staying consistent with your language learning because you want to avoid losing that number. So language learning just becomes something that doesn't make you feel good and really stresses you out, and then you're not actually learning anything, you're just kind of feeling guilty about doing nothing. If you're feeling stuck by your daily streak, what do you do instead? If it works for you, great, but if not, feel free to let it go. If you want to save that sense of accomplishment, take a screenshot of it. That way you won't ever lose that daily streak, but it doesn't define your language learning. That way you can focus on the actual language and what you actually want to learn, and not just that number that keeps you stuck. The second way that you're using language learning apps wrong is that you're depending 100% on speech recognition. Again, just like daily streaks, speech recognition is not bad. In fact, it can be really, really helpful if it starts getting you speaking and using the words and just getting used to speaking. With modern day language learning apps, speech recognition is huge, and if you're using apps like Speakly or Lingodeer or any other related app that has speech recognition, it can be a really helpful stepping stone to get you from saying absolutely nothing to having full-blown conversations. However, it is just a stepping stone. And so if you've used speech recognition and then get really frustrated when you can't have actual conversations, you're not alone. Instead of depending 100% on speech recognition for your speaking practice, recognize it as the stepping stone that it is and build yourself up from there. For example, go from speech recognition to recording yourself saying your own sentences, your own phrases. Generally with speech recognition, they'll give you a phrase to say and then you repeat the phrase, which is fine, but it's not coming up with your own words, your own thoughts, your own sentences. And that is a really important part of having a conversation that a lot of people don't think about. Once you get comfortable enough with speech recognition and saying the words and feeling more comfortable with it, start just talking to yourself, recording yourself talking, having fake conversations, having a language exchange, something like that. Speech recognition is the first step to having conversations, but it's definitely not the last step. The third way that you're using language apps wrong is switching from app to app to app to app to app, expecting that to fix your problems. A lot of language learners start with one app and then it just doesn't work in some way, and then they go to the next app hoping that one will work, and they just cycle through all these apps and they end up feeling really frustrated, overwhelmed, confused, lost, etc. The thing is, no one app is the end-all be-all of learning a language. They are excellent tools, but they're not everything. Every language app can have its own problems, and so by using another app to try and fix the problems you're currently having, you're just creating more problems for yourself. Instead, focus in on one app and think about why that one isn't working for you. Understanding why different resources don't work for you gives you information that you can use to choose your next app. So for example, if you like Duolingo, but it's teaching you grammar in a way that you don't like, in that you're just having to figure it out as you go and hope for the best, as opposed to being taught explicitly like different grammar rules and how to conjugate and all that stuff, that's good information to go ahead and try another app that might be better with that. Something like Babbel that teaches you those grammar structures like like textbook knowledge, basically. If you don't like an app, but you don't know why you don't like an app, then you're just gonna find yourself swimming in circles and getting frustrated. Have you found yourself sucked into any of these habits? Let me know in the comment section below. The fourth way that you're using language apps wrong is you are looking at everything that an app has to offer in a particular language and expecting that to be your goal. I can't tell you how many times people have asked me, or I've seen people asking online, if finishing the Duolingo tree will get you fluent in the language. One of the reasons why Duolingo is so popular is because it has like that visual structure. You can see exactly where you are in like Duolingo's stuff, but just because that's the end of Duolingo's content, just because that's the specific content that Duolingo has, doesn't mean it's the content that you need. Instead, don't let a language app define your language learning journey. It's important that you be clear on what exactly it is that you want to accomplish in your language learning, not what an app tells you to accomplish, necessarily. I mean, if you're intentional about the app that you're using and it tells you to do a certain thing in order to achieve that thing, great, you're in the right place. But if you are downloading an app saying, I want to learn language, and then going through that app, there's a good chance that at the end of that app, you might not be happy. No app is for everybody, so if you assume that the app knows exactly what you want, you're going to be disappointed. And the last way that you're using language apps wrong is that you're not using language apps that are at your level. Language apps come at all different levels, for different levels, in order to accomplish different levels. And so assuming that every app out there is going to match up with your level and what level you want to end up with is not accurate. If you get a recommendation for a language app and then you just kind of jump right into it haphazardly, there's a good chance that you're going to be disappointed. You might feel really overwhelmed because it's above your level. You might feel really bored because it's below your level. It's super important that you think about your level first and then try and find an app that matches up with your level. And also, I wouldn't recommend depending on that app to tell you what level they work for. A lot of apps say that you can use it to get from beginner to advanced, but that's not necessarily true. Fortunately, that's one of the things that you can use my language search to do, is you can just like say what level that you are and it'll pop up language apps that are actually at your level, because I tested them myself. So I'm not going to tell you that an app is for beginners if it is definitely not for beginners, even if that's what they try and advertise themselves as. If you're trying to learn a language and you need some more support in finding the language app that'll work for you, I highly recommend you click the link below in the description to learn more about my 90-day self-paced coaching program called The Method. Click that link and you'll find a really clear description of what exactly I teach my clients, all about mindset, resources, strategies, approach, staying consistent in the long term, keeping happy and motivated long term, and all sorts of things. And if you like this video and you're looking for more, check out these videos next. Otherwise, have a wonderful day and I will see you next time. Bleh.